Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is Randomly T, and today I wanted to come on and answer the question, how often should you retwist your hair? Yes, how often should you get a retwist? Before we get started, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and please share this video. Yes, please give this video a share. So yes, how often should you retwist? And for me, I retwist every 5 to 6 weeks. That works for me. That works fine for me. I think when answering that question, a lot goes into play with that, or should go into play with that. Does your hair grow slow? Does your hair grow really fast? Are you maybe going to the gym and sweating your roots out a lot? Do you have strong hair? You know what I mean? Is your hair thin? Is it weak? Like, those are questions I feel are very important when asking, how often, or how often should you get a retwist? So, if your hair grows really slow, you may get a retwist every 3-4 months. If your hair is growing fast, you may get a retwist a little more often. I think it's just important to know the consequences, for retwisting often, or for letting time go by, and not retwisting as often. Now, when you get a retwist, there is, they're going to the base of your scalp. Your hair is, it's being pulled. Definitely not pulling your hair, but they're bringing the hair together. They're bringing it together. So there's a little tension, nothing major, but a little tension there. And so I would say if you're retwisting every 3 to 4 weeks, that little bit of tension, and you're retwisting every 3 to 4 weeks, every 5 to 6 weeks, that little bit of tension over a few years, that may weaken your hair, especially if your hair is already weak to begin with. You know what I mean? So you don't want to retwist as often, in my opinion, because over time, 1-2 years, your hair could thin out. It can become weaker, For me, I definitely like to allow a good amount of new growth to come, from my roots. The hair that grows out of our head, this retwisting part, that is like the base of the lock. That is where, the foundation is. Like, I want, and I would think other people would want, a strong foundation, because eventually our locks are going to get longer and, they're going to get heavier. So you would definitely want to have a strong base. And retwisting too often may prevent that from happening, So for me, I definitely like to wait it out a little bit. I like to get a good amount of new growth. A consequence of maybe waiting, too long is, if you wait too long to get a retwist, your locks, they'll start mirroring each other at the root. They'll just, they'll get this whole thing going on, right? And so when it is time to retwist your hair, you may have to pull that apart, detangle that, and sometimes, when you pull that hair apart, could rip some hair, you know what I mean? And I don't want that to happen. I mean, it naturally happens, but waiting for a long period of time, I'm sure you're gonna break a few strands of hair, because your hair is just naturally, it's webbing together, with the next lock. So for me, like, a happy medium right now is every 5 to 6 weeks. And that works fine for me. I wouldn't suggest retwisting, every 3 to 4 weeks, every 2 weeks. Like, no. Even if my hair was growing fast, like, I would just be okay with my roots just being a little fuzzy, or just not even being retwisted at that point, because again, that's the base of the lock. Like, that's the strength, and I wouldn't want to be, pulling that and getting that retwisted every few weeks, because like I said, you do that for a few years, you may weaken your hair. And as you get older, sometimes the crown of your hair can get thinner. Your hair could just get thinner in general, So, yeah. So the question, I guess, to answer the question, how often should you retwist? There's no right or wrong. It's what you want. If you want the fresh look, by all means, you retwist as often as you feel you need to. Again, as long as there could be some consequences with that. If you want to retwist every 3-4 months, if you want to retwist once a year, you know, as long as you know there could be some consequences with that as well. And I can't even say that these are consequences, but as long as you know that these things could happen, you know, some people may be fine with, you know, once a year retwisting and pulling their hair apart. But I know there is a gentle way to do it. But for me, to answer the question, and I'm just a little over a year locked, every 5 to 6 weeks is fine for me. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Every 5 to 6 weeks for me, and I'm just a little over a year. Again, I can wait longer than that, but every 5 to 6 weeks. But yes, that is the answer. How often do you want to retwist? As often as you feel you need to. I just wanted to put that information out there. That's all I have for today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share the video. I do want to thank all my new subscribers for joining and subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate you. And yeah, that's all I have for now. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.